starting today, and we're going to try to come to the conclusion of the notes that we have. Okay, so, here we go. All right. All right, we had been looking over here in some of these notes. Let's see, I was starting to make a noise here. Let's see, number Kaf Zion. We got the number Kaf Zion. So reading from, again, we'll start over here from number Kaf Dalet at the top. It says, we're talking about the hairs on the top of the head of Zair Anpin. B'yardin and Mishtal Shulach B'mata ad Makom Sa'aras Arosh the Zair Anpin. V'oz heim me'irin l'tot hamuch the Zair Anpin. Zair Anpin yonik mehem. Zair Anpin then nurses from them. Shefa v'or. Ba'yadei came. So he says kach rather. Nizonin hamochin the Zair Anpin that feeds them. B'nisaktim b'tosefa sa'ara, and it builds into them an additional amount of light. So I move over here to the other side, because these are mostly, as it says, Makoros V'tziyunim, it's mostly site references. And the first word on this line is a dark print which says estake. It's iskan. I guess it's insan moche. So it says ayin sham. So now we're going to go to the next word. If you found that, I hope you did. Let me try to get the focus better here. Incidentally, we have now 2,030 subscribers to our channel. So it's grown quite a bit for some reason in the last few months, last week or last month or 2 months, I don't know. He says, Ayin Shan Rei Gam Bebira Agroa. What's a Groa say about this idea? What's the idea? The idea is that an additional amount of light goes into them. Shabir kan v'zel l'shono, amucha de Zair Anpin, mistaknim al yedera sa'aro shel atika kadesha. So we're saying that that's how it's built through the hairs of atika kadesha. Now this is like instead of the dikna of Zair Anpin, the 13 midos, which we're talking about all the time, which is a Hamas, which is going along the front, he doesn't seem to compare the two, so I don't really know exactly where the two stand. So he said, "Mistakdim ayedera b'sa'ara shal adika gadesha." Here we're talking about the hairs in the head of adika gadesha. Moshe Amba be'idra he says, and he quotes that the b'kol nima v'nima is mabur denavik b'mocha. Every single bundle of hairs, a grouping of hairs, has within it a stream. Ubagol nima v'nima is mavur denachmi b'muchas timah that comes out of the muchas timah. And we had talked about, the letters appearing at the other side of the head, Viradakia and so on and so forth. Here he's talking about they come from the muchas timah and they rise through the skull. That's what it sounds like of Zair Anpin. And he says, Mamuchas Timah, the Basar Kosla, which is on the other side. I'm not sure which Kosla he was referring to. Does he mean the Kosel or the Avira Stimah, the Viradakia that covers it over? I'm not sure. Or does he mean the skull, the actually skull? I'm not sure. So he said, Mamuchas Timah, the Basar Kosla, V'nahir, V'nagib, Bahaku Nima, and it winds up going up into the Nimim, and he says V'nahir, it flows or shines, V'nagid, and goes downwards, Bahaku Nima, the Zair Anpin. Where does it go? It goes to the Nimim, the Zair Anpin, Umahai Misakein Moche, and this actually becomes a tikkun for the Mochin of Zair Anpin. Ubeidrich bedaf kuflam and all of them with basis is on the subject of Niman the Resha Richim al Kasvin the Migad Meresha the Resha the Zair Anpin. So he says that it goes down to the it extends a Richim al kasvin, to the shoulders of Eric Anpin. And I guess he's saying that the shoulders of Eric Anpin is, well, actually the, I don't know, Zair Anpin I would think would be at the tibur of Eric Anpin, but he says Hirichin Kasvin the Megad Beresha the Resha, in order to flow downwards from one of the head, that is the head of Eric Anpin, to the head of Zair Anpin. The mocha delay into the mocha of Zair Anpin. I said kad nakim b'muchas dimor, when it goes down from the mochas dimor to Eric Anpin, the mocha the Zair Anpin, to that mocha the Zair Anpin, be'inim nimin, through these hairs. Begin the list kiyuma the mocha tator, and this is the part that most of it is just a repetition of different site references. I don't want to play them down, but for our purposes, I'm looking for some panemias here. The list kiyuma the mocha tinor, the mocha tator, that is the mocha of Zair Anpin, cannot exist. El the bekiyuma the mocha yalor ein sham, unless we have contact or whatever flow coming from the mocha timor, which you said before, of Eric Anpin through the nimim of Eric Anpin, flowing downwards around the back of Eric Anpin. So then we go, that was number Kaf Zayin. And then we're going to read on to Kaf Zayin, and I'm going to try also number Lamed, which is down at the bottom, and I hope we have something there which is a little bit nuanced. So let's look at here, Kaf Zayin. Va'az mekabel Zair Anpin ha'oros the osius yud ke involved mochim shalo. So into his mochim, because we're saying that these hairs that are flowing down are full of these, they're transporting these letters, Yud, K, and Vav, Mochim Shalom, into his Mochin Zair Anpin. And it said V'Amar Od, and it says furthermore, Kad Iskali the Zaira, when it's revealed in Zair Anpin, he says Ukashim Isgalim Osius Yud, K, Vav, the Matach of Zair Anpin, when you see them over there, Al Yedech of Sa'aros Amanaki, through this very, very pure or clean woolen type hair, Misyashvim Bebe Elin Asban V'iskri Bahom, then may settle in these letters, V'iskri Bahom. What does Iskri Bahom mean? Az Misyashvin or Misgalim Zair Anpin Osius Yud K involved Elu, then you see that they're now settled in there and revealed. Va'az Nigra Zair Anpin B'Shem Yud K Vav, and then he's called by the name Yaakov. And somewhere in here he says that Yaakov is masculine. So he said the Malach of Eric Anpin later on up above, previously in Eric Anpin Lo Nisyashvim Osius Yaakov. They really don't settle there. I'm not sure exactly what he means by Nisyashvu, but let's say that I think he means you can't see them. The Lo Havyan Bechem Osius Mamish, because at that point they're not revealed really as letters. Elacha Osius Yud K and Vav Ramozim Be'erik Anpin Behelam Gadol. They're over there in a tremendously hidden kind of way. Ubatalia Koldahu, and there is some element of hanging, but it says a Koldahu. So basically, it sounds like they're almost transparent, so that they're not visible at all. Let's look at number Lamed down below. I thought there was something we could use here. I hope there is. Let's see here. Reba, a little bit more. Reba or Yakar, he says, Khan, Vizel the Shanu, Kad Iskali, the Zaira, the Haindel, Betshehem, Mishtal, Shalim, Merich, the Zer, he says, Ad Khan. Ray Od the Bira Gro, what does the Gro say? Sevas Ritzonu Lomer, Kad Iskali, Eluch Osius, that is these three letters, Al Yedei Amarnaki, through that. So he says that flow. I just read the wrong one, so I'll apologize. So number Lamed is Rei Ba'aras and the El B'Shem Shar HaDomos, Shar Mari Rashbi. He says V'or Yakar Khan, and also the Or Yakar here. V'indech and B'vur V'sham, the Be'erik Anpin Lo Havyan Mamash Ela Nirmozim Behelam Godel. But only there are hints to it. There is no really, if you took your microscope your atomic microscope and flew your spaceship over there, you really wouldn't be able to see very well the where they're not formed very well or strongly. The Be'erek Anpin lo havim mamish el nirmazim behelam godol. There's a tremendous hiddenness about it, and that's its state. Uvatalia koldahu, and it's somehow I don't know how I would translate this best, but it is hanging in some way, but just a small amount that's visible. The movement, the Umazed corresponding to the Zair Anpin, Haim Osius Yaku Mamish. There you see actually the manifestation of them. Be'ene behelam ela begilui. Be'chein bevura be'idra he says, V'zel Lashon in the Idra Zuta, he says, Yaku Titayin, Zair Anpin Inun, love Talion. And there they're not, I don't know what he means by love Talion, they're not hanging down. Ela Inun Mamish. In other words, this word Talion, which I'm thinking, we think that Talion means that it's going downwards, it's hanging from the head of Zair Anpin, like our hair if we let it grow long. He says, Zair Anpin, love Talion. They're not really Talion hanging there, Ela Inun Mamish, but they have a mamashos to them. Now, I guess the Talion means dependent, or I don't know exactly what it means. Of a Atika Kadisha Talion, but in Atika Kadisha, that's where we use the word Talion. Talion means it's very transparent in some way. Ein Sham. V'kein bebucher be'or Yakar also says over there, V'zel Lashana B'dilug. He says Misyashvim. He says that they settle in there. Ha'inin Shadoch Yitzdak be'etzim Osios Yaakov Ela B'keser. So they're, I guess you can't see them there in the Keser. The Lo Chavim Mamish, because there's nothing real substance to them. B'keser Ad Kan. V'ratzon L'Omas Zels B'Zair Anpin Shafir Misyashvim Etzim Osios. So there we could say, well, the essence of the Osios is really there. Mamish. You could see him. V'Rei Gam B'Hadras Melech. He says Kan V'Lazel L'Shon B'Mama Naka. He doesn't say Naki. He says Naka. He says Haim Osius Yaakov near Mazin Betlich Ba'alma, which are referred. There's a hint to them in the fact that in some way, I guess we could see that to me it's like if you had a microscope and you're able to focus on it to a certain extent, you can't really get into the details of it. It's just too transparent. So he said near Mazin Betlich Ba'alma, there is some concept there that they're going downwards. But now when you see them in Zair Anpin, there you see they settle in there. They become a part, and I think it means they become more physical. And then there's the idea of the Iskri Bahom, and they're called by them. Rabbi Bira Groa, again, Khan, he says, Vizel Lashona, the Iskri Bahom ki Yudua Zair Anpin Nikra Yud K Vav. Let's say I lost the place. Let me read it again. I'm sorry. He said Be'ir Inyan V'iskri Bahom, and this either they're called by them there. What does it mean called by them? Or in them, called them, whatever it is. Rei Bebor Be'or Agroa. He said V'zal Dashana V'iskri Bahom Ki Yadua. Zair Anpin Nikra Yaakov. That is the name of Zair Anpin, he says. V'nukvach of Nikras Hey. So it's Zohar v'Nuk together make Yud Kei Vav Kei. V'Zair Anpin Nikra Kei. Al Shem HaMochim Chachma V'Bina, because of the Mochim Shal Abba V'Ima that develop in Abba V'Ima. I guess on the way down to Zair Anpin, it has to go through that way. Those two Mochim, I'm not sure exactly what it means yet. Shal Abba V'Ima Shehem Osius, which are two letters. What are Abba V'Ima? That is the two letters that I think he means to say that they actually build Abba V'Ima, or he means that the Osius themselves, which originally were in Eric Anpin, but almost not visible, he says are the letters Yud and K, the Das Kolol Vav Kitzvos, and then there's this Das, which is the Yud K Vav, Ad Kan. Now exactly what that meant, I'm not sure. Rei Bezoar, the Zohar says in Parshas Mishpatim that these three letters, Yaakov, Da, Dechura, then they're masculine. He says Ad Kan. V'chein Rei b'Mabusharim, he says over there, V'ata Chabiyanika, in this stage where Zair Anpin is just being born out, he has the 6 kitzvos. Nispashtach v'nisgalu v'vok shleimim v'gedolim. Then you see the spread, I guess the build-up, and the revelation of the 6 different corners or parts of Zair Anpin. And then that's when you have the concept of the Vav comes in. So it starts out with Abba Ve'ima, or developing in Abba Ve'ima the 2 letters Yud and K, which began, he said, in Eric Anpin, but very visible, very invisible. Hu Besod Vav Shel Chachavayad HaKolelas Atzilus Kulo, which is that name also now is Kolel, all of Atzilus. Zair Anpin, who levado nikra shem Yaakov, but by himself, Zair Anpin is called by these 3 letters. And normally we see that Zair Anpin is called by 4 letters. So according to this, then it means that the 4th letter, which he said, is Malchus. Ki Yud and K heim chochma bebina shabo. So they recommend. Now we're talking this way with Abba Ve'ima. He's talking about the chochma bina of Zair Anpin. He says. So then it's the triangulation of these, and you can see them. Ad Kan, Ein Sham, Biker Inyan Rei Od Holon. He's going to say it later on. V'Hadras Melech, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so let's see. I think we finished that, and we have now 6:10. Let me see if I could just go to the back of the Sefer. And we're going to be on page Taf Reish Pei Vav. So he says like this. Well, I guess we'll read the top, and we'll read down into the next part, and we'll try to finish as fast as possible, as much as we can. Mispashtan Asvan the Basar. So they go around the back of the head of Eric Anpin. These kolal bezera de Anpin, and they become a part of Zair Anpin. Number Aleph says mispashtan asvon lebasav is kala lebazah. So that's their asvon, the letters, these 3 letters Yud, K, and Vav go around the back of the head of Eric Anpin. And number Beis, he says the kama deshardim begulgol tach ishtatkol mispashtan bekol gufa. So the same as we understand that these are in the head. They're also spread throughout the entire body, and I think we're talking about the body of Eric Anpin. Ba'amar Naka, that's the way he phrases it, with this clean wool. And clean, I guess, means pretty much transparent. There's very little physicality to it. Kad tali talian elin asvan, and as this hair goes down, it within it, in some way, are these letters. Number Daled, Kad Isgali the Zera Misyashvim Bay Elin Asvan. When it reaches there and it is revealed there, then you see these letters. That's when you see it. We had said that previously. So we can read the first one here, I think. And it says, Mispashtan Asvan the Basav is Khalil Zair Anpin, Rei Bibira Meshula the Fiel Rizal. Shinis boyer in mispashton, that they spread asvon the basa, they go around the back, the osius yud kain va mispashtim besod mochim bekol guf Eric Anpin. They spread into the entire goof of Eric Anpin. Omasha amber beod v'iskalu, that they become a part of Zair Anpin. They actually are into Zair Anpin. This boyer, the osius yud kain vav. Mispashtim acherkach b'mochus chochma b'bina das. They spread into the Chabad, the Zair Anpin. Nechlalu bo ein sham v'rei b'ha'aras kan. There's more to be said about that. And I think we'll stop here so that we could do a little bit of the next piece.